I've got a meeting with one of them to talk about, because again, what we're talking about is that in-between stuff that nobody's touching on. We know the companies are gonna do what they do, but the in-between stuff, like engineering stuff to incorporate into the resolution, has nothing to do with pass-through. We have no money in the budget for an engineer, and that's what council's not telling me.
We just talked about, we don't need to have that, we don't need to have that to hire an engineer. If we need to pay an engineer to do that, it'll just come back to council and we'll figure out how to pay for it. That has nothing to do with hiring anybody. We can hire people because.
Call it an appointment. You can call it an appointment. You're appointing
Call it
someone.
an appointment. I don't care what you call it. Call it anything.
Okay, we'll have one appointed by next meeting, and then whenever they have fees, council will tell me how they're gonna pay for it.
So the bulk of their fees come from the pass-through system, right? So only time fees are associated from the city is when the city asks them to do something. When the city gives them a task like, hey, go look at the roads, then that fee is attached. But the city isn't building anything. We're not developing anything. So their job is their primary function is to, and now then when we call them when we need something done, either we can afford to pay for it or we can't. Right. So that has nothing to do with who we hire or them being on staff as the person that we call.
Point well taken. What's council's pleasure on item 10? If any.
I move that we move this item number 10 to the next meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved that item 10, discussion update and possible action on city engineer services, be moved to the next council meeting. For the motion, ready for the question? Councilman Jones.
My readiness is, I think it would help us if we, I guess, suggested names of companies that that have already, I guess, been doing the work, and we could possibly appoint one of those companies to move forward as our city engineer.
I'll speak for both of them. We'll bring that information back to the council. Yes, sir.
My readiness is about the posting of the position. Earlier you mentioned that the position was only posted for 7 days, and you said we received 0 applicants. Have we tried to repost it? And maybe we'll get more applications if it'll be out there, because the process should be out there, what, 60 days? 30 days?
30 to 60 days.
30 to 60 days, right? So, I mean, maybe
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened. I just gave information to council that that's what took place. But we can reopen it, repost it.
And I think to
Not a problem.
help the mayor out, he did say that he's going to move forward and repost it. So.
No problem. Item 11, or?
we got a current motion.
Oh,
My
yes, readiness? Go ahead,
my
Councilman.
unreadiness and I guess whoever you bring before us, I guess will give us some information on the fees. So like if someone has to do a replat, we make sure we're incorporating their fees in the 15% on to the developer, whoever's needing the services. So we'll have that in the contract. But you'll have that for us at the next meeting.
Yes.
Call for question.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed have the same right? Ayes have it. Item 11, discuss an update on the most recent Bureau Veritas inspection reports for Panther Hill Apartments, the Gates at Prairie View, and Campus Edge Apartments. Ms. Rogers, well, Greg, her boss, is out of state and unable to come. And we spoke as recently as Sunday, and she's unable to make it as well. The three things she told me. She said the inspections on, I guess, all of the new buildings at Panther Hill, the last time they were over there was in February, so they haven't been in inspecting the additional empty buildings as yet. The Gates at Prairie View, the plans are with Bureau Veritas and under review, going back and forth. And the Campus Edge Apartments, those plans are approved with, and again, she's been over inspecting and issuing a partial if it wasn't ready. If they called her and it wasn't ready, then she didn't do any inspection and having to go back. But that's just a little bit she shared with me that I'm giving you what she told me. She did say in 2 weeks she'd have enough time to put all this stuff together and be back for council, but she wasn't able to make it tonight.
Do we know why they haven't been back since February? Because they've done a lot of work. And so it's my understanding that the buildings have to be inspected throughout the process. So you lay a foundation, it has to be inspected. You put walls up, it has to be inspected. And so they've done all of that on numerous buildings since February. And so what that just tells us is that the foundations hadn't been inspected, the walls hadn't been inspected. I'm sure they're starting to run electricity, plumbing, they're starting to run plumbing. So if they haven't been in there since February, how do we have inspection reports on all of the new development? How are they throwing structures up as fast as they're throwing structures up?
Those are questions for our inspector, Ms. Rogers, not myself. Yes.
All right, so one thing I just wanted there to be clarity. Typically when we talk about this item, there's always discussion that council doesn't want there to be development, and I just want to say that's not true. I think we thoroughly want development in here because there's so many benefits that the city gets from development. We just want to make sure development is safe, that the inspections are fully passed, and that the inhabitants have somewhere great to live in. So with these inspection reports, so the item says the most recent Bureau Veritas inspection reports, because that's what I'm talking about. We want the most recent so that we can kind of get an idea and update of where we are. Right now, within our packet, we got them for Santee Street, which is the Campus Edge Apartments, and the Panther Hills for Richards Rose. Now, of course, I know with Santee Street and the gates of Prairie View that right now no one is living there, but one of my concerns, like I said, I encourage development. I just want to make sure that all inspection reports are there for any building, for any dwelling that people will live in. We did not receive any inspection reports from the gates at Prairie View, and the reason why that concerns me is because I know that right now they're advertising to buy leases out to students so that they can live there, and I know with a past situation with the Panther Hill Apartments, that was a big issue because, of course, they expected that everything will be completed and that everything will be as was advertised. And so with the gates at Prairie View, hopefully we can get that information in the next packet. As you say, you talked to Ms. Rogers, and I believe that you talked to Ms. Rogers, and that if she can get to us at the next city council meeting, that'd be great to update our constituents. But also even with Santee Street, the Campus Edge Apartments, some of the things they didn't fully pass with some of the foundations. They said Building 5, Building 7 didn't pass foundation, Building 8 they didn't fully pass the plumbing. So I want to make sure that we're more so proactive than reactive on the development and Panther Hills, and making sure even with the new buildings that for some of these that said they're not fully passed yet, that we are making sure that we're diligent beforehand, and that it says reinspection required for partial pass or failed inspection. That we make sure that for these things that they get the reinspection that's needed so that it's fully passed.
Council?
So when I'm looking at these inspection reports, we have 2 plumbing inspection reports as it refers to Richards Road. So I'm guessing that's what's it called, Panther Hill.
Right.
And every other inspection report in this is from 2018, August 2018, August 2018, August, July 2018, May 2018. So they haven't had an inspection done since 2018 as far as structure and foundation?
Well, once the structure is laid, it's done, but let's look
But it
at
still
what
has to
you.
be-
Hold on. I'm with you, but let's read. This is March 19, as you say, 2018. I'm not sure which one of the buildings it is. But it says work area inspected, sanitary lines below the grade for building number 1. All sanitary waste and vet piping are scheduled, and it states the 40 PVC and all that, soil and waste vent pipings. All fittings are compatible material with solvent cement-type joints. Clean out, access, and P-traps are according to the code. Leaking test is applied. Sewer lines above is approved. On one hand, we're saying they're not getting inspected. On the other, we're saying they're old but we're not reading what these folks have said.
Right, so-
They've given the okay to build above ground because they've already inspected for right here, below ground.
Right, but this is dated August 15, 2018.
Okay.
There have been structures built since then, and so the same report, like, so if you look through, it says wood framing inspection.
She says she's been there since February, that's just like 3 months, so that's not a
So
long
that's the
time.
most recent inspection
But
in
there's no
February,
report
but we
in
don't
there.
have anything from February.
I'm only telling you
So-
what our contracted inspector told me. Beyond that, you have, if what you have in front of you is similar to what I just read, that whatever they did inspect, passed and approved, I'm a little confused as to what the real problem is. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, so being that we haven't got, received a report, I guess I say we're in the 6th month, now 2019, have students moved into Panther Hill?
Not the ones beyond, like September, October timeframe. They had roughly 700 students in there around September, October. And no additional buildings have been opened for students because everybody's kind of staying where they were gonna stay by that time.
How certain are you that, Mr. Mayor?
How many buildings are on Panther Hill?
Well, let's just say this. If you're not gonna accept my answer, don't ask me a question.
No,
No, I mean, how can I be certain? I don't live there, I don't own it.
You're the chief administrator.
I apologize, Mayor, I was just asking.
No, you're questioning what I gave you. I gave you, this is what my understanding is of what's going on over there.
All right, so your understanding that no one has moved in since September?
No, my understanding is no one has moved in the new buildings since September.
Okay.
That's different.
So-
The new buildings,
Just real quick.
not the ones that Ms. Rogers never been to, just the additional, because it was like half built out, and then they just continued building, and she's continuing to inspect.
So, just real quick, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So, just for clarification, don't take it personal, let's ask you questions, because
No, I don't.
at the end of the day, the building inspections fall under your umbrella as the chief administrator of the city. So when the department, the person who's in charge of that department's not here, those questions naturally reflect on you, because at the end of the day, everything goes up the ladder. And so if things fall through the cracks, it doesn't fall on Bureau Veritas, it falls on the department head, which is you as the chief administrator of the city.
Yes, sir.
And so, just kind of keep that in mind when because we're not attacking you, we're trying to gather information.
Sure.
And so, we go back to these inspection reports, and it says drawing references to. I'm assuming that S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, S8 are referring to the buildings. So that's saying that this inspection refers to buildings S1 through S8. I don't know how.
I don't know how to read that, but I did find something else that might interest you. I'm looking at inspection reports dated 4/3/2019.
Yeah, that's Santee.
Plumbing rough passed.
That's Santee. That's
Foundation, well, wait a minute, hold on now. On one hand, oh, you just wanna go back to the other one?
Right, because
All
that one
three
has
are-
people living in it.
All three are on agenda.
Yeah, so we're talking
All
about.
three, hold on. You said you don't have any inspection reports except back through.
I
Okay,
specifically
so
said
that's
for
all.
Panther Hill. I
Okay,
specifically said for
but-
Panther Hill.
But let me finish the point, just so, again, we're talking, the reports we do have
No,
have dates
The
as
reports that we
recent
do
as a
have-
little over 45 days
the
ago.
reports that we do have aren't the problem. The reports that we don't have are the problem. Because we don't give people pats on the back for doing what they're supposed to do, but we hold people accountable for doing what they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
You
So
don't pat
here
them on the back when they're doing the right thing?
I-
That's what you just said.
We don't
They get
give, they get paid to do this. We give them their pat on the back, but we don't exalt them for doing their job. They're
Okay.
supposed to do this.
Okay, finish
So
what you're saying
the
about
issue
Panther Hill.
is, the place that has people living in it that hasn't been inspected since 2018, like, that's the issue. Why aren't there any in their building every single day? So why haven't there been any updated reports? Why are they still being allowed to build? That's the question. We don't mind them building, we just want them to go through the same process that the other one's going through.
And the lady that has the answers to those questions is not here,
But it's your responsibility to hold her accountable.
Yeah.
okay?
Mr. Mayor.
Then let me finish what I was doing then, since it's my responsibility. Plumbing roof passed, foundation passed, okay to pour. Foundation passed, okay to pour. Plumbing roof passed, okay to cover. I'm flipping through this for the first time. Foundation passed, foundation passed, foundation passed, this was already inspected. Plumbing underground passed, okay to cover. I mean, guys,
So just for the
You-
record, that's
some
the
of you
same
know-
inspection report.
some of you know
Santee.
that
Still talking about
Santee,
Panther Hill.
Santee and Panther Hill is being built by the same folks. So on one hand, you're saying they all screwed up. On the other hand, as of April, we got a whole bunch of passed. You need to make up your mind. If
That's not
they,
what we're
if they are not moving people into the building, if Ms. Rogers and Bureau Veritas is making sure they are safe. Now, have they had some sewage issues? Have they had some water leaks? Yeah. But the issue is, are they safe? If we're getting involved, if they're violating our ordinances, that's what gets us
So
involved.
how do we know? Just like you said, you made the point, you made the exact point, they're owned by the same person. So why is it that they can present inspection reports for one of their developments but not the other? That's, if they brought both of them, they look exactly the same, because it's not like they're building one and not building the other. They're building both of them simultaneously. So why is it that they can have this one, which one? This one that's been inspected as recently as 4-3, but this one hadn't been inspected since 2018? That's the question.
This comes from Ms. Rogers and her company,
Mr.
not
Mayor.
Panther Hill.
Mr. Mayor.
Ask Ms. Rogers, she's not here, folks.
I have 3 questions.
Councilwoman Williams.
That wasn't me, was it?
I just want to ask a question. I think the last time that the lady was here from Bureau Veritas, didn't she speak on these things being put into a system, and she was gonna come and show our ladies in the front office how to go into the system and get these reports off of there? If I'm not mistaken, that's what she said, right?
Yeah, but we didn't pay for it. So.
But
the
we didn't
contract-
talk about anything about paying. She said that she was gonna come,
Yeah.
train the staff how to go log on to their.
That's under that building
That's
inspector,
under the building official.
but we hadn't paid
That
for
was
the
under
building
the
official
contract.
thing
Where
yet.
did, where did these come from? Who printed these? Where did these come from? These inspection reports? Who
Yeah.
brought them to us? Not Ms.
Same.
Rogers?
Did
City
Ms.
staff.
Cortez put them together? Because I know last month we had some and Ms. Cortez had, got the documentation and put us together.
Okay, so these are the last ones in our system from up front.
No, our staff don't know how to use the system.
But she told you out of her own mouth she hadn't been there since February.
I have it, Mr. Mayor.
On the newer buildings, yeah, I guess so.
But again,
But she went around the corner.
can we get with, hopefully they're gonna be our building inspector or whatever we need to do, so that she can come and train our staff up in the front, so that they can print off, every time there's an inspection done, they can print it off and we can have it. Versus waiting on them to, I don't know, get how many together and seeing.
Which one of you wants to get with Ms. Rogers and get whatever reports you want?
We want the chief administrator.
Well, if the chief administrator,
She answers to you, that's what we would
We
like,
talked
just
about
like,
that
just
last
like the
time.
other departments bring you reports, that's what we would like. We would like for the chief administrator to bring those reports.
and if I don't have them, that's my answer. So you got
But
that?
but that's part of,
That's why
that,
If they don't have it, then
That's
I don't
why-
have to give to you.
but
That's
what
the
do you,
answer.
what do you mean? But,
Just
so
what I said.
council, so this, I have not had the opportunity to talk on this issue, so I have 3 questions. My issue is that, Mr. Mayor, this is not the first time that this has been on the agenda. And you knew this was coming on the agenda about these 3 different developments and the information we wanted to know. For you not to prepare to get information and even to have Bureau Veritas here is disrespectful to us and our community. That's what we're saying. Is this all on the mayor? No, it's not all on you, Mayor. Because it's a lot going on. But we're asking, council is asking critical questions for Bureau Veritas and this process that you just said you just looked at for the first time. When you're supposed to be the one who's supposed to be prepping this presentation for us so we can go through what we asked for. And that was for all 3 developments, the work from Bureau Veritas. We should know, you should have a summary sheet that says Panther Hill has 30 buildings. 20 have been inspected, because people lived in 20 of them. The other 10 buildings are not available, they're not up, and they only have 50% of the inspections done, and here are the reports. That is your job as a chief administrative officer, and that's what council's only asking for. Now, the issue
You want
is.
to respond to that? Or you want to go on to your next?
No, go ahead.
Okay, in 9 years, you haven't had one summary sheet. Do not come in here demanding, telling me what I'm gonna provide.
We never had a
You've
full-time
never done
mayor.
it.
We never had a full-time mayor.
Well, we've had a lot of part-time council people
Yeah.
do.
But you get
So-
paid, Mr. Mayor.
But you're right,
Right.
and I've
And we're gonna hold you accountable
One-
to what you're supposed to be
well,
doing. And that's providing us real reports so we can make the best decisions.
You keep waiting for that report.
All right, my second thing is that in the packet for those three, in my question in reference to the 3 developments, we're supposed to be getting the last time, or I think the update with the development that was in Alta Vista for Bureau Veritas. You said you didn't have a permit, and so can you update us of, do you have a permit in it? Is Bureau Veritas received the necessary documents for them to move forward, and where they're at in that process? That's just for the one by Alta Vista. Can you
Okay,
answer that?
then let me respond to it. I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told you earlier. The gates at Prairie, which is one you're referencing, Bureau Veritas, Ms. Rogers, as recent as Sunday, confirmed that they have the plans, they're under review, and as of roughly about, I don't know, a week and a half ago, their work stopped because they wanted to do it right. And all they've done mostly up to this point is clear their land, which we have not one ordinance in the city that deprives them a right to do. And that was confirmed with you at least a month ago. So yes, their plans are in place, they're being reviewed, and they stopped working until Bureau Veritas gets back and forth and do the things that they do. So that's the update on that project, which I gave you about an hour earlier.
On that project, for the, I don't know the names, if you said that. The gates.
at Prairie View.
The gates at Prairie View. So the only, I don't see any engineering, any civil plans that says that the water, sewer, and all these things that are connected. The only one you have is, that's in our packet, is LJ Engineering, which was for the Santee development. I forget the name of that one as well. Now, my question, in our packet that we have LJ Engineering for, that gives some things that need to be done as far as the developer or contractor. Have they gone back out, and who is supervising that? You know, whether it be a detention pond or the type of storm pipes have been put in for that. And then the second question is, I think Mr. Zek, Attorney Zek, can the developers engineering firm, LJ Engineering for Santee Development, be the same engineering firm for the city?
I would not recommend that.
Okay. And so, Mr. Mayor, when we get a document from the same firm, that puts us a little uneasy. And so we are simply, again, having another conversation, because we talked about this at the last meeting. You said you were going to get some information and come back to us. And I'm assuming the documents before us is you coming back to us. And so have you did anything to rectify the situation? Who is running point in reference to the connection between what LJA Engineering told themselves, because they're the engineering firm for the developer, on what they needed to do? Who says that they've complied with that? Yes.
So the developer's engineer?
Yes.
The
It's same
developer's
company.
engineer's plans were submitted to the developer's engineer on behalf of the city to approve?
The firm for the Santee property, the engineering firm for the Santee development is LJA Engineering.
Okay.
The engineering firm that the mayor said that he contracted with is LJ Engineering.
Yeah, no, that's not, I wouldn't recommend that.
And so he says it's done in 2 different departments, I think was what he told us.
No, I didn't tell you that. LJA Engineering, as far as I'm aware, is not the engineering firm for this property. however you read this letter, that is not my understanding. I've never known these folks to use LJA or anyone other than their own engineers.
On the permit, do you have the permit for, so if you, again, Mr. Mayor, and your responsibility is the person who oversees all this, on the permit, there's the engineering firm that signs on, right under where you signed your name. There's a firm there, and you're saying the firm is not LJ Engineering?
No, I'm saying, is this the letter you're referencing, Councilman?
This is the letter that's in our packet, yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That letter is from LJA Engineering and directed to me as mayor. Where is this that LJA is directing it to LJA? How are you reading that? Where are you getting that from?
No, what
The
I.
letter's addressed to me.
Okay, yes, it is, Mr. Mayor. For the Santee property project, the developer's engineer is LJA Engineering.
Where do you have that in writing? I haven't seen it. I'd like to see it.
It's on the permit. So you're saying, you said that you had got LJA Engineering to look at this project. That's what you told us at the last meeting. So you're saying this letter that's before us is LJ Engineering working on the behalf of the city of Prairie, correct?
They direct the letter to me. That kind of says that, and it references City of Prairie View Mixed-Use Development Plan Review Comments. Dear Mayor Allen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where's that directing it from LJA to LJA? Because that's what you said a little while ago.
This
which is
first sentence
extremely
says it.
confusing.
This first sentence says it.
What?
It says, so this is LJ Engineering. Dear Mayor, it's a letter from LJ Engineering. I'm assuming this is a letter from LJ Engineering to the mayor, giving direction to the mayor with respect to comments they've made based on a review on behalf of the city. Is that accurate?
Well, it references LJA as the designer.
And
they
so
are
the
not
designer
their
would be
designer.
the person representing the developer.
Yeah, and they're not their engineering firm. These folks don't use
That's what this
outside
letter
people.
says. This
Well-
letter says they are.
Okay, but that doesn't mean the letter's correct. I'm just saying, these folks don't use LJA. Now, we send their civil plans to LJA, and if they do a typo, it's no different than a resolution that references Prairie View and another city. Those things actually happen.
We should probably double check that.
Yeah, I'll be glad to. That's not a problem. But these large firms, like law firms, engineering firms, they spew out a lot of things, and sometimes they don't change something. I'm okay with that. I'll be glad to check on it and report that back to council.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman?
So earlier you stated, just kind of wrap this up, but earlier you stated that, you could come back in 2 weeks, and give us, if there's any more recent information, about, cause like I said, what we got right now is we got Santee Street, where they all didn't pass the foundation, the plumbing. We got Richards Road, all of it didn't pass the foundation, or all that's required, and I know on past inspection reports, we had to talk about where it said building final, where it was like the final inspection of the building, make sure it's good to go. Most of these doesn't have a building final on there, so, I mean, only a piece of it was established, and I haven't been to Panther Hill Apartment to know if anybody's in those buildings living there right then and there, but if so, then that's an issue that needs to be addressed. So I asked that for the next meeting, that you bring up all the recent up-to-date, because like I said, only the Santee Street is in 2019, while the one for Richards Road is 2018. We don't have anything for the Gates at Prairie, which is currently advertising to students saying come lease, and so that's something that we want to be on top of so that we can make sure that our citizens and constituents that live in those buildings are being somewhere where all the inspections pass.
Are you familiar with the 500-bed project that the university's building?
Mm-hmm.
And they're soliciting for folks to come move into it, and all they have is pipes and some wood on the ground?
No,
That's
they're
how
not.
projects run. I mean,
So
just
the
because
difference-
you don't see something,
So-
they can't advertise, and that's
So,
how business
The
works.
difference is because they're saying for the people to move in like this August, and they're out ready to give out leases. The new 500 bed, they're not trying to give out leases right now. Of course, they're saying they're putting out there into the promotional effort, but they're saying, oh, we're about to move in soon. So, of course, with past time, we want to just make sure if they're trying to go forward and move in August, just that all the inspection reports are passed. There's nothing malicious. We're not trying to go against the development. Like I said, if we get reports that say they all pass, great. I'm extremely happy for the new people that can live in those. We just want to make sure we just dot our I's across our T's. Like I said, we're not trying to be malicious or attack anybody. We just want the documentation.
I agree with you, but let me make something real clear for the benefit of council. I want to make something real clear for the record. When you look at people who walk in here all day, every day, people who call, people who email, all the things that it takes to run the city, and you come up here telling me, I'm gonna give this report and I'm gonna get you these documents in the next 2 weeks, let me tell you something. Get rid of your fantasy, because that's what it is. I haven't been able to finalize Mr. Hill's project to go out and make sure the work was done the way it is, and if one of y'all wanna help with that, I'll be glad to, so we could write this man his check. But what I'm saying is, Mr. Hall, I'm sorry. But what I'm saying is, I'm doing what I'm doing and what I can. If you say we're duly, equally elected, then do some duly work.
We're not
Because
duly
if you
paid.
want all these things, is that, so if I gave you $100, you gonna do something? Because right now, you came up here knowing it was unpaid.
So
It's important to understand the branches of government. Legislative branch is us, executive branch is you, so we're not the same, so it's important to understand that. So when you ran to be the mayor, you ran to take on these responsibilities. And so if you didn't want to partake in these responsibilities, you should have thought about that before you decided to run for the position and ask for a salary. So thank you.
I didn't ask for a salary.
You did.
One was offered. One was offered. I didn't ask for a salary. Mr. Jones procured that. But you know what? Salary notwithstanding, folks, if I don't have time to do what you're sitting here looking for, it's not gonna happen.
These are part of your regular responsibilities.
Well, you're right, but it's not my responsibility to get it to you in 2 weeks. Not when I've got everything else to take care of in the city. You ask about cutting grass and staying on top of ordinances and just everything that takes place in the city. You want me to find the chief, a city secretary, an engineer? You want me to incorporate all these things?
Yes,
You look at my email list, it's not gonna happen. I'm just telling you. So that when we get here 2 weeks, you can't say I made you a promise I didn't keep. I'm telling you right
Well,
now.
Mr. Mayor, for the health and safety of the community, your role is to follow the policies that are currently documented. And we didn't make any of this up. There are current policies on what a company has to do to develop in our community. My question is for Attorney Zach. Not having a civil engineer review these 3 developments. Well, we have a letter, review these 3 developments. Is there any concern, or is there any action that City Council can take to make sure that the process has been, that we either address this issue